everlasting, whose goings forth, in fact, have been from of old, from everlasting. So let's try to put that into perspective. Just what and who is coming to earth, whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. So quite a feat to put that into human perspective. And so with that, let's go into a good place to start would be in Job. And in Job chapter 38, we're going to try to put that into some form of perspective. So we got the incarnation of Jesus Christ. He's born on this earth, tiny little helpless, hopeless baby who's solely, totally dependent upon his mother, his young mother Mary, laid in a cow's trough, his arms and his tongue tied, and his goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. So in the beginning was the Word, right? And the Word is Jesus, in fact. And the Word was with God, the Word was God, all things were made by him. So who created the heavens and the universe here? Who created the stars, the sun, the moon? Who created the earth and everything in it? Jesus, of course. In the beginning was the Word, Jesus. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All the things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, it says in John. And the world knew him not. So here's the Lord, right, which is Jesus, of course, in the Old Testament. We're now in the Old Testament. His goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. All of these verses about Jesus in the Old Testament. Now, he's not made flesh yet in the Old Testament, but he did talk to all of these Old Testament prophets, patriarchs, and saints and what have you, judges like Job. So Job, he's saying to Job, where wast thou when I laid the foundation? This is the Lord Jesus speaking, the Lord, right? The Jesus Christ in the Old Testament. So then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, so it's the Lord, it's Jesus answering Job out of a whirlwind in the Old Testament. Remember, he's not made flesh yet here, but his goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. These are the goings forth of Jesus Christ in the Old Testament. Whenever you see the word Lord, especially if it's capitalized, you know it's talking about Jesus. Simple as this. In the book of Revelation, it says he's King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So when it talks, when he had on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So this is Jesus. Jesus comes back to this earth yet again in the Battle of Armageddon, riding as from the heavens on white horse, and an army following him on white horses, and he have on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So once you see the word Lord in the Old Testament, you know it's talking about Jesus. It's as simple as that. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind. So his goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. And here he is talking to Job. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, where? So we're in chapter 38, verse 4, Job. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare it if thou hast understanding, because Job wasn't there. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest, or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. So here's Jesus. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, the Word was God, the same as in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. So where was Job when Job was getting above himself? And so God, the Lord here, reminds Job of his, put Job in the picture, And Job was simply, we are just simply men prone to many failings, mistakes, and even disaster. And Job finding himself in a disastrous state, and so he's kind of presiding over what to make of all of this. And finally, the Lord Jesus Christ appears to him and puts him more in the picture. And so he goes on to say, who laid the measures thereof of the earth? Where was thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. So we often get above ourselves, and we have to be reminded of our lowly estate and who we are and who God is. Well, who made the heavens? Who made the earth? Jesus. Where was thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare it if thou hast understanding. Who have laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest, or who have stretched the line upon it? So here's Jesus. Here's the beginning. In the beginning was the Word was with God. The Word was God. All things were made by him. So you have Jesus speaking. When God said, let there be light, he was speaking to Jesus. When God said, let there be this, let there be that, he's speaking to Jesus. So here's Jesus creating the world and reminding Job of who he is. So who have laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest, or who have stretched the line upon it, whereupon the foundations thereof are fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof? So he's explaining how he made the world in human terms, so we can comprehend when we build a wall or build a house. We might stretch a line upon it or lay a cornerstone, etc. This is kind of symbolically speaking of God, of the Lord, of Jesus creating the world, so that we can comprehend it in our more lowly estate. So whereupon the foundations thereof are fastened, who laid the cornerstone thereof, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy? So this really does put the heavens into perspective, in that you picture here Jesus creating this very world that we live in. And there's a lot more going on in the spirit world than there is on earth. A lot going on earth, of course, because you have the Lord. He was in the world was made by him. The Lord, Jesus Christ, creating this whole world. But what was going on in the spirit world? Well, you get an insight into the spirit world here in these verses, where it says, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. So you picture the Lord, right, Jesus Christ, creating this world, and he has an audience, all of these sons of God, in other words, all of the angels witnessing this great sight of Jesus Christ creating this whole world, this whole universe. So whereupon the foundations thereof are fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. So you have all of these sons of God in the spirit world all shouting for joy when they see Jesus Christ creating this world. So that really does kind of put into perspective just who it is coming to earth. He creates this world, and the whole of you picture all of these angels. In fact, there's 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of angels out there in the spirit world. In other words, sons of God being created beings of God in the spirit world, all are witnessing this great sight of Jesus Christ creating this world and this universe. So let's go back to the beginning of creation and what it says there. And you get, again, another sense of perspective there. And God said, who's he talking to here? In the beginning was the Word was with God.